Hello students, today we will be seeing the topic of IMPD, that is Investigational Medicinal Product Dossier and Investigator Brochure. Okay, these topics are from chapter number 3, Non-Clinical Drug Development. The topic of IND, NDA and ANDA. These are already earlier studied in chapter number 1, so we will not be studying the same topic again. So the remaining topic in that chapter is IMPD and IB. Okay, so if we complete these two topics, then our chapter number 3 will be completed. Okay, what is IMPD? It is a submission to have a approval for clinical trials. When we need to do clinical trials and the approval needed for doing such clinical trials is the IMPD. Okay, the investigational medicinal product dossier is a basic document required for approval of clinical trials by the competent authorities in the EU. Okay, thus IMPD is the basic document required for approval of clinical trials. So when we want to do some clinical trials in the competent authorities in the EU, that is European Union. The European Union, when we want to do some clinical trials in the European Union, then the dossier, that is the documents required for investigation of medicinal product, this submission needs to be done. Okay, it is the technical submission, that is it is technical submission in order to start a clinical trial or initiating of before initiating of new clinical trials in the European countries. This submission is required. Okay, uh, we will go back through IND and IMPD. These both terms are little bit similar. The difference is such that IND application is required when we submit any clinical trial data in FDA, that is Food and Drug Authorities. Okay, look, IND is required when we need to apply for FDA, that is United States, and IMPD, it is required when we need to submit a data of clinical trials in European countries or European Union. Okay, that is clear. The investigational medicinal product dossier, IMPD, is part of investigational medicinal product. That IMPD is a part of IMP. IMP is a part of IMP where the related data required whenever the performance of a clinical trial is intended in one or more European Union member states. Okay, do you get it? That the IMPD is a part of IMP. That is, IMP submission is a part of IMP. IMPD submission is a part of IMP, where the related data, that is the data which we have got or assessed, the assessment done of clinical data, needs to be given for European Union member states. European, which states comes under European member states? That is Germany, France, that is Canada, okay, Italy, okay. The next, and one thing, both IND and IMPD submissions are done in order to start the clinical studies or clinical submission. The difference is only that IND is done for FDA and IMPD is done for European countries. Okay. So this, let's go to the next slide. This slide was the introductory part of IMPD. Okay, next is the IMPD includes summaries of information, means the dossier or the document. This, it consists of the information related to the quality, manufacture and control of any IMP and data from non-clinical and clinical studies. That is, it consists of CMC of any IMP and the data of clinical and non-clinical studies. Okay, and overall risk benefit assessment, critical analysis of the non-clinical and clinical data of the proposed study have to be part of the IMPD. Okay. The next topic is guidance for IMPD. Guidance in concern of IMPD can be found in the communication from the European Commission. Means any guidance or any what we call any information or any guidance which is needed while submitting the IMPD. Thus, the guidance is done by European Commission. Okay, European Commission guides for the IMPD submission. The guidance is based on the clinical trial directive, which came into force in April 2001, harmonizing the laws, regulations, and administrative provision of the member states relating to the implementation of good clinical practice, that is GCP, in the conduct of clinical trials on medicinal products for human use. So, thus, when you require any assistant for IMPD or when you require any guidance or reference related to the IMPD, the clinical trial directive, that is clinical trial directive, it provides such facilities. Thus, we have to follow the clinical trial directives. Thus, it is a directive which gives the information, references, or any uh, related what we called means any data related to clinical trials during submission of IND, this directive is helping us. That is, it can be of harmonizing the laws, regulations, and administrative provision of the member states relating to the implementation of GCP, good clinical practices. It also conduct the clinical trials of medicinal products for human use. Okay, the directive introduced a harmonized procedure for the authorization to perform a clinical study in any one of the EU member states. It is said that the directive also harmonizes the procedure, that is, updates the procedure for authorization to perform a clinical study. Means in any European state, if you go in any European states and if you want to perform a clinical study, then this directive helps to harmonize. Okay, in addition, it defines the documentation to be submitted towards the ethical committee as well as the IMPD to be submitted to the competent authority for approval. Thus, an IMPD is requested whenever the performance of a clinical study in any one of the EU member state is intended. So, if you want to perform a clinical study in any European country or any European Union, this IMPD is requested with member states. Okay. Then the IPD consists of two types. That is, there are two types of IMPDs. So the first is full IMPD and the second is simplified IMPD. Okay, the full and simplified, the name itself tells us that full IMPD. What is full IMPD? Let's go through it theoretically. If applicant is applying for a clinical trial authorization, that is, if any applicant is applying for a clinical trial authorization, that is, if any applicant is applying for a new application for a new medicinal product, then he requires to give the full information about the product. ओके जब आप कोई भी पहली बार सबमिशन कर रहे हो कोई भी प्रोडक्ट का, अगर आप पहली फर्स्ट टाइम सबमिशन कर रहे हो तो आपको पूरा डाटा देना पड़ता है. ओके, डिटेल डाटा अबाउट दी क्लिनिकल ट्रायल स्टडीज़. ओके, तो उसको बोलते हैं कि फुल IMPD. If a little or no information about an IMP has been previously submitted to competent authorities, नया हम लोग अगर नया एप्लीकेशन कर रहे हैं मतलब उसका कोई भी डाटा या प्रीवियसली उसका कोई डाटा अवेलेबल नहीं होगा. ओके, सो फुल मीन्स आप फर्स्ट टाइम कर रहे हो तो आपको पूरा इंफॉर्मेशन IMP का देना पड़ता है in the form of dossier. Second is simplified IMPD. While a simplified IMPD may be submitted if information has been assessed previously as part of marketing authorization in any member state. सिंप्लीफाइड मीन्स व्हाट, कि अगर आपने कोई IMPD सबमिशन पहले भी किया है, या मानो कि कोई भी एक प्रोडक्ट है जिसका इंफॉर्मेशन ऑलरेडी आपके पास अवेलेबल है, ओके, लेकिन आपको कुछ ऐड करना है या उसमें कुछ चेंजेस करना है, तो आपका वो सिंप्लीफाइड IMPD थ्रू सबमिशन होगा। ओके, अगर ये इंफॉर्मेशन या फिर कोई भी एक मेडिसिनल ड्रग प्रोडक्ट है, अगर वो कहीं भी उसकी इंफॉर्मेशन मीन्स कहीं भी ऑलरेडी उसका सबमिशन जो भी यूरोपियन मेंबर्स हैं, मार्केटिंग ऑथराइजेशन यूरोपियन मेंबर्स है, कोई भी स्टेट में अगर उसका पहले सबमिशन किया हो, तो आपको ज़रूरत नहीं है कि आप वापस से उसका पूरा डाटा या पूरा सबमिशन या फिर न्यू सबमिशन करें। ओके, एग्ज़ाम्पल, अभी मान लो कि आपका जो डाटा है, आपके पास कोई प्रोडक्ट है जिसका मार्केटिंग ऑथराइजेशन जर्मनी के पास है, ओके, और आपको अगर इटली के लिए जाना है, इटली के मार्केटिंग ऑथराइजेशन के लिए जाना है, तो आपको फुल IMPD सबमिट करने की ज़रूरत नहीं है, सिंप्लीफाइड IMPD थ्रू ही आप कर सकते हैं। ओके, व्हाट इज़ अ सब्सटेंशियल अमेंडमेंट? अमेंडमेंट मीन्स क्या, कि अमेंडमेंट मीन्स कुछ ऐड कर रहे हो या फिर कुछ एडिट कर रहे हो या कुछ चेंजेस कर रहे हो, दैट इज़ कॉल्ड एन अमेंडमेंट, दैट इज़ नेसेसरी करेक्शन फॉर IMPD. The assessment of an IMPD is focused on patient safety and any risk associated with the IMP. तो कोई भी आप सबमिशन कर रहे हो, कोई भी आप डॉक्यूमेंटेशन या ऑथराइजेशन देखो, मेन फोकस उनका क्या रहता है कि पेशेंट सेफ्टी। ओके, so whenever any potential new risks are identified, the IMPD has to be amended to reflect the changes. मतलब जब भी कोई भी एक IMPD सबमिट किया है और उसमें अगर आपको कुछ चेंजेस करना है, कुछ अमेंडमेंट करना है, अगर कोई न्यू रिस्क मिला है या फिर न्यू इफ़ेक्ट्स जो है वो आपके आए हैं, ओके, आइडेंटिफाइड हुआ है, तो वो आपको अमेंड करके या फिर अमेंडमेंट करके उसको वो चेंजेस रिफ्लेक्ट करना होता है। ओके, सर्टन अमेंडमेंट्स आर कंसिडर्ड सब्सटेंशियल टू द मेन IMPD, mainly related to cases of changes in IMP impurities, microbial contamination, viral safety, and in some particular cases to stability when the toxic degradation of products may be generated. ओके, मतलब ये चेंजेस क्या क्या हो सकते हैं, मेनली जो अमेंडमेंट्स हुए हैं उनके चेंजेस मेनली रिलेटेड टू इम्प्योरिटीज़ रहती है, कभी कभी QC टेस्टिंग फेल होती है, या फिर QC टेस्टिंग के ड्यूरिंग QC टेस्टिंग the results are not get as filed. Okay, that is viral safety. And the main is its stability.